The year 1974 falls under the presidency of Ferdinand Marcos during the period of martial law, declared in 1970. During this time, the Central Bank of the Philippines was modernizing the nation's currency system to reflect national pride, historical heroes, and modernization. The 1 Piso coin of 1974 was part of the Isang Bansa ABL series, which was introduced starting in 1975, but some coins, bearing earlier years like 1974, were struck as part of the transitional phase. This series symbolized Marcos' vision of a new society during martial law. Features the portrait of José Rizal, the Philippine national hero, whose writings and martyrdom played a key role in the country's independence movement against Spain. The inscription around the portrait reads, Republica ng Pilipinas, Republic of the Philippines. The denomination 1 Piso is placed prominently. The year 1974 is struck below, displays the coat of arms of the Philippines, symbolizing sovereignty and independence, inscribed with Central Bank of the Philippines in Filipino, along with the national motto, Isang Bansa, Isang Diwa, One Nation, One Spirit. Composition and specifications: metal, copper, nickel, weight around 14 grams, diameter 38 millimeters, large crown-sized coin, quite hefty compared to modern pesos. This large-size piso was meant to emphasize the importance of the currency during the 1970s, circulation and significance. The 1 Piso 1974 was heavily used in circulation, especially for larger purchases. Because of its size and weight, it was not always convenient for daily use, which eventually led to the downsizing of Piso coins in later years. The coin also marked a strong political statement under Marcos, as currency redesign was tied to the new society program. Common circulation strikes of the 1970 for 1 Piso are not rare and are usually worth only their face value or a small premium to collectors. However, uncirculated mint state examples, especially proof-like strikes, can fetch higher value. Coins with historical context, like those preserved during martial law, or with unique minting errors, are more desirable among collectors. In short, the 1970 for 1 Piso coin is not just money, but also a historical artifact representing the Philippines during a politically charged era. It features José Rizal as the enduring symbol of nationalism, while also embodying the Marcos government's push for the Isang Bansa program. 1970 for the Philippines was under martial law declared by Ferdinand Marcos in 1972. This era was known for strict government control, but also for ambitious infrastructure projects, economic reforms, and the reshaping of national identity under the slogan Isang Bansa. The new society currency redesign was one of the ways the Marcos government showcased this new order, by issuing coins that carried national heroes, patriotic slogans, and modern designs. The government reinforced the image of strength and unity. The obverse of the 1974 1 Piso features José Rizal, the most celebrated national hero of the Philippines. Rizal's writings, particularly Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, inspired Filipinos to resist colonial oppression, placing Rizal on the largest circulating coin of that time, emphasized his symbol of unity, sacrifice, and intellect. This decision tied the nation's currency to its heritage and national pride. The 1974 1 Piso was a large coin measuring 38 millimeters across and weighing about 14 grams. It was one of the biggest modern coins in Philippine circulation. Because of its size, many people compared it to the older Spanish Philippine silver pesos of the 1800s, which were also big and heavy. For older Filipinos, this may have felt like a nostalgic link to the past. However, its bulkiness made it inconvenient for daily use, and over time, the design was adjusted into smaller, lighter coins. The reverse of the 1974 1 Piso bore the coat of arms of the Philippines, which included symbols of both colonial past and independence. The 3 stars and the sun represented Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. The American bald eagle and the lion of Spain represented the Philippines' former colonial rulers. The shield represented the defense of freedom and sovereignty. This design reminded Filipinos of their history but also declared independence. As a modern republic, printed on the coin was the motto, Isang Bansa, Isang Diwa, One Nation, One Spirit. This was directly tied to Marcos' martial law propaganda, promoting national discipline, unity, and loyalty to his vision of the new society. While some Filipinos genuinely embraced this call for unity, others saw it as a political tool to maintain authoritarian control. Today, coins from this era serve as historical reminders of both nationalism and dictatorship. In the 1970s, the Philippine economy was changing. The peso was pegged around Philippine peso 6 to $1 USD, giving the 1 piso coin considerable purchasing power compared to today. Inflation was starting to rise, but the piso still bought essential goods like rice, bread, or public transportation fares. Having such a large coin for Philippine peso one made sense economically at the time, but later inflation reduced its practicality. The 197 for 1 piso was minted in large quantities by the Central Bank of the Philippines, which had taken over full control of coinage after independence. It circulated widely, becoming a common sight in markets, jeepneys, and daily transactions. Modern numismatic era, introduced under the Ng Bagong, Lipunan and later Flora and Fauna series of Philippine coinage. This coin, though low in denomination, carries with it decades of political, cultural, and economic significance. It represents the final years before a major monetary redesign in the late 1980s, making it a collectible piece for coin historians. The early 1980s, the Philippines was under the administration of President Ferdinand Marcos. The economy was facing inflation, political unrest, and international debt issues. To maintain circulation efficiency, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas (BSP) continued minting lower denomination coins, like the 10 centimo for small everyday transactions, bus fares, public market change, and small store purchase. 1984 issue came just before the country experienced the People Power Revolution, 1986, making it part of the last full series of coins issued entirely during Marcos' presidency. The 198 for 10 centimo was made of aluminum, a light yet durable metal suitable for mass production and affordable circulation. Featured Francisco Baltasar Balagtas, the revered Filipino poet and literary figure, symbolizing the country's pride in literature and culture. The inscription, Republica ng Pilipinas, signified national identity. The year 1984 was prominently displayed, showcased the Philippine coat of arms, which represented sovereignty, unity, and national strength. The inscription, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, showed the issuing authority. 1984 10 centimo still had purchasing power in small-scale transactions, for example buying candies or small, adding to jeepney fare increments, used for exact change in sari-sari stores. However, inflation was reducing its value, and by the late 1980s, the 10 centimo had lost much of its real buying power. 1984 10 centimo was minted in large quantities for everyday use. Many were lost to wear, aluminum corrosion, and lack of use as inflation made it less relevant in the economy. Today, most surviving examples are in poor to average circulated condition. 1983 to 1985. The Flora and Fauna series had started replacing earlier coin designs, but some 1984 10 centimo coins still followed the older style with Balagtas' portrait. By the 1990s, the improved Flora and Fauna series redesigned lower denominations, and the aluminum 10 centimo was eventually discontinued. Today, the 1984 10 centimo is mostly of sentimental and historical interest to collectors. Circulated condition, depending on rarity and luster, mint errors, off-center strikes, double dies, or blank plankets can raise value significantly. Though small and often overlooked, the 1984 10 centimo coin tells the story of a nation in transition from a politically tense era to one on the brink of democratic change. It is also a reminder of the times when even small coins had significant purchasing